Why did you choose Chanakya?
I think Chanakya chose me. You want to succeed in politics? Remember JJJ.
Okay.
Like RRR.
Uh-huh.
What is JJJ?
What's the difference between good decisions and right decisions? Are they both same?
It's a fine line. It's a very subtle question.
How does one deal with their insecurities?
Only spirituality can give the security.
Absolutely.
Are you matured with age or are you growing with age?
What's the difference?
Thank you so much.
Interesting.
Who is a genius? A genius is a one who knows when to stop. What is actually maturity? Where all logic fails and you still have faith. That's maturity. My father used to tell me 3 people change the world forever, but nobody will recognize them.
For leaders, what would be your kind of a key takeaway in today's generation?
2 takeaways.
Okay.
Be
simple.
humble. So there's a very famous saying, good is the enemy of the great.
Yeah.
You want to be a good leader or a great leader?
Hello everyone and welcome to the PVT Show where we have conversations that truly energize your mind. Well, I'm thrilled to be joined by the brilliant Dr. Radhakrishna Pillai ji, a renowned authority on Chanakya and leadership. Dr. Pillai, a best-selling author of several acclaimed books. When I say several, it actually means 23 of them that are already out. Few of them I'm carrying to show you. And today, how can I talk to him just in one podcast talking about everything? So I'm just trying to do some justice to it. But let me tell you, he holds a PhD in Kautilya's Arthashastra and serves as a director of the Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies at the University of Mumbai. In this very fascinating conversation, we'll dive deep into the wisdom of Chanakyaniti, its timeless relevance to the modern leadership and corporate world today, the profound Vedic concept of powerful spiritual philosophy that I never heard about before. Actually, I picked this book. It's a very, very interesting book called Anvikshiki, the art of philosophical thinking for the management. So my friend, if you are someone looking to up your leadership game, progress faster than the others and understand the intersection of spirituality and the leadership and the corporate world and the business world through a Vedic lens, then this podcast is what is meant for you. Let's explore how ancient strategies can inspire today's leaders with the amazing master, Dr. Radhakrishna Pillai himself. Welcome Radhaji. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be hosting you today on the PVT Show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be here.
Sir, thank you so much. It took us a little long while, but as they say that everything that happens at the time it is supposed to happen, it is the best. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I know that you have several books in you, but for the audiences, I think this is the one that you have gifted me. So this is the one which I will be blocking your time to decode for us, in the next podcast. But for this conversation, I think I am extremely interested. I've read this book, which is also a fantastic book. This should be just picked by everyone for a read. And today, we are going to get into the mind of Chanakya with the very person who is known for bringing Chanakya alive in today's time, in today's day and age, Sri Radhakrishna Pillai.
Thank you. Thank you, Poonam ji.
Sir, why you have to love Chanakya so much is my first question, and not anyone else in the history?
So, better to fall in love with one person and get committed to it.
That's a good way to put it. But why him?
I don't believe in extramarital affairs.
Again, a good learning for everyone.
So there's a saying, and since you've been a marketing person, if a product is doing well, better market it.
Yeah.
And try to find out ways to popularize it more. I've been a marketing and a sales guy myself.
Let's talk about that journey of yours.
So that's where marketing Chanakya. So books are only one form of, popularizing and making more aware.
Right.
So my corporate journey started with, different glamorous industries. So the first part, of course, is where I worked in the music industry.
Oh, really? Let's talk about that.
Okay. So, like today's generation, the music industry, I'm talking about almost 20-25 years ago, got the first stage of technology.
Okay.
For example, if you recollect, especially, maybe 25 years ago, music was heard more in LPs,
Yeah.
later on audio tapes,
Yes.
and then came the CD.
CDs.
Yeah. So I used to work in a company, it was called as Music India.
Okay.
And later on became Polygram, and then of course Universal took it over. So I was part of the sales team, and we had to actually educate people on what is the transfer of music industry.
Correct.
So I still remember, we had the opportunity to actually marketing A.R. Rahman.
That's
So
right.
two movies which actually was, I would say became popular in Hindi film industry was A.R. Rahman's number one Bombay and Roja.
Yeah.
That's
These
part
two
of the
are
core
like the
team.
marquee projects.
Yeah.
Correct.
So we had to actually go and tell them, okay, this is A.R. Rahman. He's from South. There's a Tamil movie called Roja. So we had to educate the so-called Hindi film music lovers. And that time our company also made sure that it's coming in a new format called CD.
Yeah.
But I still remember, we used to go and show them samples of CDs. And I remember one of the shopkeepers telling them, ye theek hai. Okay, and we used to give them sample free. This is what a CD is. You can put into, there's like an audio tape can be put into a cassette player.
Correct.
So he said, ये तो ठीक है, ये तो अपने गाड़ी का पहिया दे दिया, गाड़ी कौन देगा?
Yeah, you have to put it somewhere for it to run.
So like, okay, then we say, fine, how do you address this problem? So we used to come back to the boardroom with our sales team and all that. It was okay, fine. It's a transformation thing. So you have to get educated to a generation which is listening to music,
Correct.
but not adapting to technology. So of course, sales doesn't begin only with selling the product, understanding the customer needs.
Sure.
The second phase is when I worked in the diamond industry. Yeah, so
Usually in the corporate world, people are very averse of changing their industries because they just want to. So was it a thoughtful decision or how was it for you?
my life has been completely God's grace. I never say no.
I think that's a good way of leading a good
In fact, I
life.
always wonder how come somebody from the music industry
Yeah.
is been taken into the diamond industry.
I swear.
So I remember because a point came and we were not so mature. Where okay, somebody told us an opportunity. Why don't you apply? I applied and I was surprised. They created a position for me. And I'm still in touch with that boss. I asked him after many years. So I'm not from the industry, and not even the role of sales actually.
Correct.
Sales is one part of it. I have to manage a whole factory. I asked him, no experience, no industry background. Why did you take me? You know what he told? It is not about what you're doing. Who is doing it? And you're the right person.
Wow.
I went to another industry, cricket.
Amazing.
So we actually made Sachin Tendulkar a brand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me this story, please.
Marketing, branding. So this is a very famous guy who turned around cricket into an industry. Even today, if you look at IPLs, if you look at World Cups, people wonder whether it's a sport, is it an entertainment, or actually is it corporate? It's a mix of all.
It's a mix of all.
So, if you recollect the golden era, I would say, tipping point for Indian sports, especially cricket, was 83 World Cup.
Correct.
And we have a movie also on that,
Yeah.
Kapil Dev era.
Yeah.
We won the World Cup, but we did not have money. There's a person called Mark Mascarenhas, very passionate cricket lover.
Yeah.
And Mark had this vision that we have to create brand out of cricket, where there is already a kind of an experience and love for cricket. But there's no money. Nobody will go and make a career out of cricket. Of course, there were some commentators, some players. So he decided, let us pump in money into this game. But he was a very bright thinker. He always said, since we used to have a lot of meetings, every particular industry needs to have a face. Cricket is a concept.
Yeah.
So let's pick up some young talent. And that time our company, Worldtel, picked up Sachin as a potential star.
Oh, wow.
And then we had to play the role of marketing him, branding him. We also had a magazine called as Cricket Talk. So I used to head the sales in certain parts of India, travel a lot.
Yeah.
So then I understood the difference between sales, marketing and branding. So today if IPL is a brand, a lot of corporate entertainment angle to it. And today parents are not worried saying that okay, chalo, bachcha khelega to udhar bhi paisa ban sakta.
In fact, they will now be more happy
Absolutely.
that you have this talent.
So, taking the a little bit of a different trajectory, all this made me understand finally, you don't work in a company. You impact a human nature. So, marketing branding is not just about, brand building. Of course, you can do that. But real marketers and brand builders understand what is the connect with the social needs and with the human psychology.
Absolutely.
So, let me give another example. I work with the Indian Armed Forces. I work with some really big brands, as maybe advisor, trainer, consultant, coach, funny names. So one of the biggest, I would say a company or a brand that I work very closely with and have a small, maybe 1% contribution to it is Amul.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And who doesn't know it?
Yeah, of course.
And some reports say that it's the world's #1 food brand, not just India's #1.
Yeah.
So what's the psychology? So I remember the managing director then, he was telling us, India mein, we have already a social structure where milk and milk products are part of the society. वो कृष्णा कन्हैया लाल के टाइम से चल रहा है.
Yes.
But हमको सिर्फ branding करनी है. So branding doesn't give you sales. Sales is because of social culture.
Yeah.
And once you understand social culture, you can build a brand.
Wonderfully put.
So coming back, so Amul, it's a different trajectory altogether. Imagine #1 world brand. And there where it stuck to me that, there's a Chanakya angle to it. I mean, how many of us can relate that there is Amul and a Chanakya connection?
Yeah, we would want to talk about it.
So, let me come back with specifically one of the Purva Acharyas. That means Chanakya's earlier teachers. Like for example, if you're doing podcasts, I'm sure we have learned it from somebody else also and making it better.
Correct.
So knowledge is always there, but every generation has to refine it. So Chanakya studied his strategies from Mahabharata. And Chanakya is known as an economist. He made India the richest country in the world in his generation. But where did he get his inputs? Surprisingly from Mahabharata and many other scripts. In Mahabharata, there is a concept called as Shreshti. Who is a Shreshti? He's like a chairman of an organization in today's world. He's like, the leader of a business group.
Correct.
And loosely translated, today we call them as Sedjis. So if you look at the Gujarati Marwadi code, Sedji.
Chairmans are /Sedjis.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now, Amul actually worked on that concept.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we had in a lot of roles, how do you create a brand? The brand can be done. That's a marketing and you've been doing that. I've been understanding that. But then it's if there's a disconnect with society. The biggest brand can flop.
Absolutely.
That's why we look at the Amul ads. Every week something new connected to reality. It could be a sports, it could be a political event, it could be something related to what happened immediately, and people wait for it.
Oh, absolutely. It's a marquee property. Like nobody, and fantastic thing about that is the Amul girl and the messaging. Nobody has been able to replicate it.
Absolutely. So look at Indian concepts that we have to go back, and that's why Chanakya came and said, this guy did something right. Can we learn from him and make it better?
I want to know first that your corporate journey is going on. Right? Because I also take very keen interest in corporate to something, because otherwise all corporate people think that we are done, we'll die one day with 9 to 5 job. But these are the stories that, create that hysteria that yes, you are not stuck to or married to one profession. If you are talented and more talented, it can be explored in several directions. So then all these stints are going on, and then one day you decided to do what?
So let me tell you, I moved on. But I never left the past. So I'm a corporate guy even now. So I do corporate training programs,
Correct.
Maybe mentoring, coaching, all the funny words. And you spoke about corporate Chanakya. But I moved into academics.
Yes.
So fortunately for me, after the Chanakya knowledge, every project that I have touched has been a super success.
Touch wood.
So, because not only books, but I realized one thing, we have to go back to the corporate world. But then you say, how do you focus? I tried to leave the corporate world. The corporate world did not leave me.
Did not leave you. You did your PhD after?
Yeah. So my basic qualification professionally is a management degree.
Right.
But later on when I got into Chanakya and Indian wisdom, I did my MA in Sanskrit and PhD in Kautilya's Arthashastra.
Oh, that is...
And I'm still studying.
So that's my question. Why did you choose Chanakya?
I think Chanakya chose me.
Let's refine it further. What
So
was the most striking thing that you thought that this is what I need to deep dive into? Because PhD is no joke.
for me it is.
Sir, please.
So I guide a lot of PhD students now.
Uh-huh.
And I understand there's a hard work to it, there's a research component to it. And you have to respect that.
Correct.
At the same time, the other side of PhD is that you become so focused. Sometimes you can miss the big picture. So one person said it very nicely. PhD का full form क्या है? Permanent head damage.
Oh my God, yeah, because
No, it takes a lot of efforts. But I realized one thing, okay, let's say I'm doing a PhD in one subject, like I'm doing Chanakya. Or somebody will be doing in music.
correct.
Or somebody would be in chemistry.
Yes.
There are hundreds of subjects. Somebody does in art, somebody does in fashion also.
Yeah.
I interestingly met a lady in Cambridge, I remember. She was doing a PhD. And I asked her, what's your subject? So please understand, it's a PhD guide. One is the subject area and then it's a topic.
Correct.
She said, okay, I'm a fashion designer. So my
Okay.
space of my research is fashion design. Okay. That's the area. What's your topic?
Topic.
So it comes down narrow. Can you believe it was ladies' purses?
Wow. No, it's huge. It's a huge business.
I was like, wow, for me, okay, I understand a little bit of fashion, that's okay. But why this topic? You know what she
Yeah.
told me? That's a representation of privacy and power.
Yeah.
What? But somebody is thinking like that.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to know more about it.
Yes.
She was still doing her research. And she said, you will find that every lady in every part of the world will have a purse.
Correct.
And of course, with your financial status, your whatever social status, it may differ. But even a lady in a slum will have a purse. And maybe the Queen Elizabeth of the world will have a purse. Now that's representing that it's my space. And if you look at any lady including you, will be very, very possessive about the purse. And it's a very private space.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to, show or somebody to peep into your purse.
No, in fact, when we are checked at the airports or at the malls, the first thing is, oh, I don't want them to check my purse. That's the
Exactly.
first thing.
So
First instinct.
It actually tells me about privacy. And second, it's about power. And because Chanakya is power. So I said, okay, can you explain to me that? And she told me something very interesting. You can use purses for communication. Wow, that's a PhD topic, right? How can you communicate? Then she told me, because she was in England at that time, Queen Elizabeth or many of those so-called royal princes, maybe even Lady Diana and all those things, they used to use it to indicate people, okay, both ho gaya, abhi niklo. So they had code languages
Code
using
languages with the purse.
So let's say somebody has come to meet them and they're not very comfortable. So they'll actually show the purse.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
Or time is up, I need to move.
So people around would know that this is a signal.
Now think about this. It may look like purse, fashion design is okay. But it can be used as a communication language. It's a private space.
Yeah.
Now this lady may be thinking differently, but she's got a point.
Correct.
And that's why I love PhD guys, and they can add value in such a different way.
Correct.
So my validation is Chanakya, no doubt, but I respect the people. At the same time, the danger is that they will only know more and more about that space.
Correct.
Tomorrow, if I have to ask her, okay, tell me more about shirts.
Because they have zoned out
Yeah.
completely, and now the whole,
So we have to
blinders
respect
on a
that
horse.
blinder should not come when you do a PhD. Like I've been very fortunate. So even though Chanakya has been a core subject and everybody knows, but many people don't know that I'm also an expert on Mahabharata.
No, I know that because I've seen so many of your podcasts, and then that's what I say that when I was just thinking that if I'm sitting with Radha ji, then Dr. Radhakrishna Pillai, what topic? There are so many topics. Otherwise, you would know this person, this is the topic. So I had to
It goes on
handpick
and
and
on.
choose. It goes on and on. So, Radha ji, since I am fortunate to be sitting with you and you're a man of so much of knowledge, just, packaged and built in so well inside of you. And I'm happy that you said that your initial period was with the corporate world, right? I want to understand now the intersection of the corporate and which is we kind of know as the real world, and its intersection with the spiritual world. Do you see an intersection?
They're all one. But we don't see the other side.
Why?
Because we got so isolated looking at our area. So my corporate world means 9 to 5, Saturday to Sunday.
Correct.
What Sunday, Friday? I'll tell you an experiment that we did in Mumbai University. Since I also hold a position there as a professor, I had a department there. So if you look at the Bombay geography,
Right.
we have a big campus in a place called as Kalina, which is in Santa Cruz.
Right.
Now, just on one side of the wall is Mumbai University, 300 acres. On the other side is BKC,
Yeah.
where you have the whole corporate world.
Correct.
So symbolically say, okay, यहाँ पे विद्या है, वहाँ पे लक्ष्मी है.
Lakshmi.
But the problem is that the Vidya guys don't go to the Lakshmi and the Lakshmi guys don't come here. So you're just one wall away. And I said, okay, let me do it. The biggest banks are here, the biggest financial institutions are here. And here we have the biggest knowledge hub.
Correct.
But they never made it. It's like Chhattis ka akada.
Huh.
I tried experiments, I was surprised. They want you and you need them. Because an education institution, if it wants to create students, will go and join the corporate world. And they want good students for the future.
Absolutely.
Will work with them. So I think I understand what is called collaborative thinking. So why can't the corporate leader think like a spiritual leader? And vice versa. Today we find that they talk about it, but very few people can amalgamate it.
Rishi,
Absolutely.
the story. Let's talk about that.
So nice word. What kind of a leader? Raja plus Rishi. Rishi is not just the image that we have only meditating. He or she is a thinker of a particular subject. So we have astronomers, we have physicists in our country. So what are they thinking? That's a Rishi. Now Raja, when you say Raja, okay, some king, queen,
Leader.
Today's world is political leader. Do you want political leaders or do you want political leaders or also political thinkers? So the technical word, if you look at it, is, people differentiate, okay, he's a politician and he's a statesman. So what's the difference between these two? A political thinker is generally seen around in posters.
Correct.
And you see the election campaigns around. So he's a politician. But very few of these politicians are actually political thinkers. So if you look at politicians across the world, not only in India, some people stand out and they are visionaries. They're not just the power game. It's okay. This decision can impact this way.
Who would you put in this category?
In India, definitely Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Now, do you think he was a politician? Of course he was. But I think he's more a statesman. And think about it, integrating 550 princely states without bloodshed. It requires some
To align so many people.
And today we have the Statue of Unity and everything. But I think it required much more than winning elections.
Correct.
In fact, the story that he would have become the first Prime Minister of India. But that was not the agenda. You'll be surprised, not only in India, if you go across the world. I've been traveling and trying to understand. In fact, some of my students, I take them to American universities to study their culture of politics. And actually there's something called as political philosophy also.
Right.
So Raja Rishi is actually a political philosopher, a thinker who then looks at the overall benefit of the society.
So right way of progressing in a leadership.
Absolutely.
But on the contrary, we think in a very different way when we are in a power position.
It becomes a power game, not a service game. So the problem with hierarchies and the human mind.
Correct.
Hierarchies require, structures are required. But human mind likes to go to the next level. So I'll tell you, I have a very nice politician. So he's the CM of a place and I advise a lot of chief ministers also. The Chanakya gives me a lot of entry. So I remember, so we were in some meeting and I think it was a journalist or somebody. So I was the chief minister and I was sitting there and watching all these press conferences and you have done that.
Yeah.
So somebody asked me, आप तो CM तो बन गए, आपको PM नहीं बनना है क्या?
Straight question.
You know what he
next?
said?
Let me, he would say, let me take a deep breath and understand that I am a CM and do something.
You know what
before.
he said?
Yeah.
Raja Rishi. So he said something very unique. He said, अच्छा CM, अगर आप CM बनने के बाद PM का सोचोगे, ना तुम अच्छा PM बनोगे, ना अच्छा CM बनोगे.
Absolutely.
So he was very clear, it's not the power game. What I'm having, it's not small. Let me do my best here.
Yeah.
So coming back, power game is very dangerous. And human beings naturally will get attracted to power. I know politicians who are getting in the game because of power.
Correct.
Most of them. But I'm saying I look at the few who understand the real power is for service.
Yeah.
One politician friend of mine, and I work with spiritual leaders, political leaders, academic leaders, corporate leaders. So he's a very funny person. And he understands. He has never lost a single election in his lifetime. Because he's grown up, he's from a political family also, but he's wise. And I'll tell you, the wisest person can actually crack a joke. It's not like, oh, I'm wise, I have to be like. So he will always discuss in humorous manners. So I just ask him once casually, okay, you're a successful politician and all those things. Politics में succeed होने के लिए, what is the thing that is required? So how do you become such a successful politician? Is it because you are a family legacy,
lineage and all,
or you're so connected to the people or whatever? He started laughing. The kuch nahi, there is the formula. You want to succeed in politics, remember JJJ.
Okay.
Like RRR. What is it? JJJ? This, like, he puts his wisdom in such a small way. I have understood politicians, I have understood the political field, and I also understand what people want.
Correct.
It's all about promises. So sometimes even the best visions people can't understand. So I formulated this framework called JJJ. What is that? जोर से बोलो, ज़्यादा बोलो और झूठ बोलो.
Oh God.
But then I started.
Perfect बैठता है.
No, but he's never lost an election. So when the masses come, तो जोर से बोलो, like you have to be like. So presentation skills or oratory skills has become political agendas. I know people who say, आपको भाषण देना नहीं आता.
आप कैसे बनोगे leader?
And the greatest politicians may not be great speakers.
Correct.
The greatest leaders may not be orators.
Absolutely.
So this, I'm also a speaker and I can tell you, हम लोग तो बकवास करते हैं. We can impress people. But do we deliver beyond this? And people, by the time they understand, next election they'll say actually. But this guy, even though puts it, he understands it's a philosophy in practice.
Absolutely. Let's talk about philosophy now that you have picked this word. That's one of my favorite words. How do you integrate philosophy? Like for anyone, these are the subjects that usually in the corporate, as you said, we have those blinders and we are aiming for that 9 to 5 or 9 to 8 ho gaya. And then next level and the corner office, and the corner office guy once get the corner office, he or she, it should be she also, they are so worried about losing that corner office. So, constantly juggling, and that's why, there's so much of element of unhappiness, I would say, because if with skill set, knowledge, education you have reached, then you have to safeguard that. And if you're not able to, then the life changes. So in the midst of this entire Maya Jal that I'm talking about, which you understand from the spiritual side of it, how does one operate? What is for a car you have a manual, but for a human being, I wish there was a manual. So I think leaders like you, who intersect between both the worlds, you are in the business of giving that manual. Why don't you talk about that so that it helps people?
Yeah. So let's go to the basic question. Philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is philosophy? Definitely, philosophy is the essence of everything that you do. Like for example, academically, when you get a PhD, it's a doctorate in philosophy. Every subject, whichever subject you study, the highest degree that you get is philosophy. Doctorate, PhD.
Yeah.
Now let's say you've done chemistry. So that's your subject, organic chemistry or whatever. Finally, PhD. And somebody does in, let's say, management, philosophy. What does it mean? So any field, you require thinkers. The person who continues to think about it again and again and again, and he has got a certain view. And I remember, because I'm a trained philosopher, I'm an academically qualified philosopher, my PhD is in philosophy only, of Chanakya.
Yeah.
So one of our teachers used to tell, everybody is a born philosopher, if you are a human being.
Because you can think.
Exactly. Of course, there's a very small percentage who's got some mental health issues, they can't think clearly. But she said, and it stuck with me, even a beggar on the road is a philosopher. He's got some view of life. Right or wrong is a different question.
Correct.
We are not bringing in morality here. Say, pura dunya chor hai. And it's just philosophy, and maybe he's got experiences like that. Or if there's a lady who's gone through a bad stage of life, every person is bad. Now, because you're thought through it, you've gone through the experience and you have a certain view.
Correct.
That's your philosophy of life.
Correct.
People have philosophies of money also.
Yeah.
And it can be different. So anybody who thinks becomes a philosopher. But there's a change in India. How do you know whether you're thinking correctly? That's where the spirituality comes in. And maybe you require a guru.
And I have a question here. What is right and what is wrong? Before we even think about thinking right or wrong.
That's where your manuals come in.
Yeah.
Every religion will have certain guidelines, codes. So, like, for the manual of governance, right and wrong, you have Arthashastra of Chanakya. You have Dharma Shastras. Every religion has, every culture has. I'll give you a simple example. We unfortunately look at manuals as, rituals.
Correct.
For example, okay, let's say in most of the religions and cultures of the world, there's always some to-do list. That's not philosophy. Okay, diya jalao.
Action.
And it's easy to do it. We don't have to think. Give me SOP.
Yeah.
Itna hi karna hai. So you go for a namaz on a Friday. Or like me, you go to a Shiva temple on Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, Shravan Somar karo. Or maybe you go to a Sunday mass. Now, all these are rituals which become part of this. But people forget the philosophy behind it.
We just mechanically do it.
Exactly. So there are these books will guide you. Okay. And in our Indian culture, philosophy comes from debate and discussions. You don't say it diktat. It's not a dogma.
Yeah.
I say, okay, let's have a conversation.
Correct.
And the technical word for this is called Dharma Sankat. Shakespeare put it very nicely. What to do and what not to do is the question. But whom do you go to?
Correct.
The wise, experienced Vidwans. And then you start realizing, okay, let's have a debate. So that's where Bhagavad Gita comes in. So many scripture, Upanishads comes in our culture. And I'm sure across the world there are books which will talk about it. So if you have a thought, and even if you think you are right, intellectuals like us think we are taught so much, we've done research.
I think everyone thinks they're right.
But how do you know?
How do you know? Yeah.
That's where the guru role comes in. Even if you are right, Chanakya says verified with an expert. And I'm sure my books will do well. And I've done 23 books, all of them bestsellers. I'm writing 4 more.
Oh, wow.
And I've got it again and again. But do you think every time I can do the same thing? I've done it 23 times.
Yeah.
So by pattern, 24th will be also hit. No. I speak to the experts, the publishers, the editors, the cover designers, and say how
to do it better.
Better. Not only better, do you think this will work? Like
Question.
And then you say, okay, they know that subject better than me. Like I've never designed my cover pages. So how can we make it better? Can you believe I've written children's book?
No, I'm not saying.
Oh, so
really?
Chatur Chanakya.
Very important.
And that's what actually, surprisingly, school kids were in first standard onwards. Imagine at one level you talk about corporate Chanakya.
You must go to the government and talk about it, because I feel inside Chanakya's mind, this book is fantastic. I have really assimilated. I've made my notes wherever I can. That's how I read my books.
Thank you.
So that, whenever I just want to pick it up and just read what impacted me when I was reading it, I have my highlights.
Thank you.
It's really, if this book is given to, if this becomes a part, whatever knowledge is there in this, of our curriculum, I would say now that the intelligence levels have, come down, it's no more that you are in SSC or 10th or 12th that you are now. I think fairly 7-8-year-old kid is very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
If this book is explained to them in the schools and first to the teachers, this can really create very strong people.
Yeah.
Mentally strong people, resilience.
True.
So my now question to you is that you have named your children very beautifully, and I can clearly see that your impact, your own life impact comes from Bhagavad Gita and then Chanakya. So Arjun, right? The younger one. And then this is the beautiful name, Anvikshiki. I learned it from you.
Okay.
Let's talk about this. I think this is a very important topic.
So Chanakya starts leadership training. He is a leadership guru. He created Chandragupta Maurya, Samrat of India.
Correct.
So this manual called Arthashastra, on which I worked in my PhD, and all my books are based on that only. So he starts saying how to train a leader. Like we have HR training programs.
Correct.
So he designed the world's first curriculum on how to train a leader. So you go to a classroom or an MBA course, you have a 2-year syllabus, right?
Yeah.
And there are different subjects. Like when I did my management, the first subject was POM, Principles of Management.
Correct.
It's like basic foundations.
Basic.
He starts the first subject for a leader to be learnt, like POM in management, is Aanvikshiki. It's called Prathama Vidya. You should learn Anvikshiki first. Like, first of all, I've not heard this word.
Yeah.
Like for you, it's surprising, even for me. Like 20 years ago when I heard it, what is this Aanvikshiki? I can't even
Aanvikshiki.
pronounce it.
It took me some time.
Yeah. I started doing research, and of course I was guided by my teachers, Dr. Gangadhar Nair, under whom I studied the whole Arthashastra Sutra by Sutra, 6,000
Wow.
of them. Dr. Shubhada Joshi Madam, under whom I did my PhD. And then saying it's such a common word we have forgotten. It's like, using a word like Raja Rani. I mean, who doesn't know a word like Raja Rani? You don't have to be educated. Anvikshiki was such a common word in India.
But we have forgotten.
We don't even know about this word.
Yeah.
Then I got into more information gathering. In Pune, I came to an institution, very interesting. Because Pune has got this, educational
Still
research culture, intellectual culture.
Intellectual.
So in one of the, I think, colleges over there, there's a project going on. They take out words and look at what are the meanings of that.
Sure.
And they got more than, in Anvikshiki, because it starts with like,
Yeah.
they got more than 2,000 meaning. 2,000?
Of this word.
Only one word. Wow, it's so common.
Vast hours.
It's huge. And then, of course, when going to English translation, it means philosophy is one meaning of Anvikshiki. Critical thinking, creative thinking, inclusive thinking. You go on and on, observation.
Wow.
Wow, Anviksha, research.
Research.
Now, how can one word have so many meanings? Thousands of meanings they only found in reference. It's okay. Now let me get into not just words, application.
Correct.
And then I found out Draupadi in Mahabharata had a name called Anvikshi.
That was very surprising when I read it in your book.
Yeah,
Draupadi was known. One of her names was.
Anvikshi.
Let's talk about this story.
Yeah. So what happens is there are so many versions of Mahabharata and everybody has their interpretations, but one which I like.
Yeah.
And because of which I gave this name to my daughter also. So there is this Dharma Sankat, okay, which Draupadi goes through. And remember, she's not just an ordinary lady. She's born out of fire.
Yeah.
Kshatrani. And then this instance where, all the 5 Pandavas have to share her and get married. It was an insult to such a glorious character lady and all that. And she was very upset. But her go-to guide, mentor, friend was Krishna. So he goes and, says, this is not done with me. Like anybody who, of course, Arjuna won me. Please understand, her mental linking was to Arjuna. Arjuna won, if you remember that.
Yeah.
So, but why this? It's not done. And then Krishna tells this, a beautiful reference. Also, you choose it.
How?
Exactly. And let me tell you, any Indian scripture cannot be looked at from the instant. You have to go back to past birth, future births also. So every character has got something related in some previous life. So it seems maybe Draupadi had a wish where, she wanted some qualities of a husband, which I'm sure everybody looks at. He has to be strong.
It cannot be in one person.
And then she chose it and nature said yes. And you get these 5 people with different qualities.
But tell me something. That's where my little bit disconnect also happens. I think we just, by these stories, we just kind of convince ourselves to things which we may not find to be viable in a society. Don't we just convince ourselves?
We should not convince ourselves. That's wrong. But you have to understand one thing, that social norms change from generation to generation.
Correct.
Like if you look at our generation, generally if you look at, again, the concept of marriage.
Yeah.
Generally the understanding is that, one husband, one wife.
Correct.
General understanding. But is it reality? No. You go back a few generations, in every family, I'm sure there will be polygamy, polyandry.
It was normal.
Very normal. So where does morality come in?
Correct.
So if you look at, Raja Ram, who was supposed to have taken the first, so that Eka Patni Vrata. But you go back, his father had 3 wives. But was he immoral? No. So social norms change. In certain cultures, communities, it's okay. Now coming back, the conflict is when you get exposed to a certain community or a religion or a culture without understanding where it started.
How it started.
How it started, why it started. Like in certain cultures, they actually have multiple wives. Now it was a social need at that point of time. But that doesn't mean it has to continue.
Of course. I've never seen a culture where it is allowed to have multiple husbands.
No, but there are cultures in India also, even today. So having multiple husbands, Draupadi is a fantastic case, but that's a need-based order.
Need-based.
No, I'll tell you, and let me tell you, not a scriptural kind of a story, a real story. I was in, I think, Indonesia. Okay? And I had gone there for some lecture, so people call me for this bug. And
very valuable bug this is.
So I remember one of my friends, we were in Singapore and said, let's go to Indonesia. It's close by. You don't require too much of, visa hassles. You can take a one-day visa.
Yeah.
And it's very close. There's a place called as Batham. I heard about this place. I would request all the viewers to search Batham. So let's go to Batham. And he was laughing. Like, what's there to laugh? Indonesia, one tick on your passport, one more country visited.
Yeah.
But he was laughing. Let's go on a Sunday. No, okay, Sunday, fine. Then he said, no, Sunday evening. Again, he was laughing. Like, why are you laughing? I mean, okay. Because he was a local person. But I will take you on Sunday for something to experience.
Okay.
Something different you will not find in India. So, chalo, kuch, I thought, maybe some food or maybe some place
Cultural
to see
program.
or whatever. And he interestingly took me to a place, a mall called as Ramayana.
Wow.
It's the biggest chain of stores in Indonesia.
Okay.
Okay, I was like,
I've never
Ramayana.
heard of.
I also never heard. So I thought this was what he was showing me. So Ramayana, like we have DMarts in India today. So he took me, like, is this one? No, now the game starts. What game starts? Wait. Was there? Go out and see. I just went out, a lot of people coming for shopping Sunday evening and all those things. So no, do a counting. How many male, females?
Okay. Inside.
Yeah, and so the people around in the mall.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. Suddenly find, 9 out of 10 were females. 9 out of 10. Wow, it never struck me until you told me. For me, Ramayana yahan pe bhi hai and all this. But no, you know why these people come? मेरे को क्या पता है shopping के लिए? No. This is the time to find out eligible husbands.
Okay.
So like, what? And of course, he explained to me the society over there. More females than males, and the mothers train them. Okay, there are 7, 8 girls. Okay, and because the girls have to find a husband for them, so the time when most of them come out is on a Sunday evening, and they'll be decked up. And the own responsibility of the girl to actually find her husband. And it's okay if they already have wives.
Oh, okay. That is also fine.
So
But the maximum of them are females inside.
Yeah.
And they're looking, so how less men and how more, and they all are looking.
So it struck me in India, number one. Okay, one husband.
Swayamvar used to happen, something.
Yeah. But again, that society is different. Today also Swayamvar happens in a different way. I choose a husband and today
Model
I
is
choose.
different.
Yeah. Then there's one thing, maybe that's a social need. And in India, I would say that the responsibility of the child's marriage, boy or girl, is mine. Parents take a responsibility. Here, no responsibility. Is it right or wrong? A social requirement. Maybe that's a philosophy they accepted it. Again, from our standpoint, we can say you should do like this and all. But the social needs are different. Food habits are different.
Correct.
So I think what has helped me in Anvikshiki is to say think. Of course, you have to think morally, spiritually, but also look it from context.
Yeah.
What may be right for me may not be right for you, and vice versa. So my father used to always tell me, you have to travel the world to appreciate India.
Absolutely. Radhaji, now that we have understood for sure up until now that Anvikshiki is a very important word, even for leadership, even for corporate world, and otherwise also to be any life leader. I have a very small question, and I would like to read it out for you because I removed it from after juicing it out from your book. If you're able to take good decisions in life or right decisions, what's the difference between good decisions and right decisions? Are they both same? And what may be good for business may not be good for upholding the Dharma. So if you could decode good versus right decisions.
Thank you for this question. Again, there's a fine line. It's a very subtle question. All that is good may not be right.
Yeah.
And all that's right may not be good.
Correct.
And let me use some Sanskrit words here that will help us to decode this better. Sukha and Hita. So a good decision, usually people think is nice decision.
Yeah.
Oh, he gave me leave. He gave me bonus. But is it right? There may be too many deserving people. You got promoted. It's good for you. It's nice for you. Is it right for the organization? So when you're a leader, there may be 20 people to select. And position, maybe only 2. So 18 people will not get it. So the 18 people who did not will feel that was not the right decision.
Correct.
But was it good for the organization? It's always called Dharma Sankat. So let's go back to a simple thing that most of us face in our families. Let's say child doesn't want to go to school. Okay? So he'll say, "नहीं आज नहीं है, क्या class है, छुट्टी है, I don't want to go, let's take a holiday." It may look like a good decision, but it's a right decision. Mother will say, "Okay, जाना चाहिए." So that's why Arthashastra of Chanakya is also called as Dandaniti. Sometimes being punished is good for you,
Correct.
but you feel it's not right for me. I'll give you a simple example in the corporate world. I remember we were doing a project with a company on succession planning. So there was this very high performing CEO. Now think about it, you're a high performing CEO, and that comes a time of retirement. The best performers have to also go. Now people don't take it. If you are a performer, say, okay, आपका time हो गया, अभी निकलो. So let's say it's a high performing CEO. You know, he or she has to go. It's not, you think it's right for you, but it's not good for the organization. So let me give an example of a project that we did. High performing CEO, vice CEO. Okay. And 60 plus, the management said you continue. He continued for 2 more years. Again I said, no, I don't want to go because I made my money, my children are settled.
Correct.
I want to just focus on my spiritual aspect of it. The management said, you know, you're a high performing CEO. Okay, you are good. But I may be good in my work, I know that. And thank you for appreciating me. But it's not right for the organization.
Correct.
Because you know, how long can I work? Maybe I can stretch for some more days. But then he was very clear that we don't have a succession planning is the problem. If I go, who's going to handle it? So we worked on an interesting project. Out of 20 people, we actually selected 3 who are trained in being a CEO. And after 2 years, we went back to the management. And he said, now I'm not going to continue. Remember, who's telling you? Take extension. 2 baar ho gaya, bas ho gaya. Now I have got your problem, I understand, which you are not able to understand. That what will happen to the organization if I go. So I created 3 backups.
Oh, wonderful.
Choose from them.
That's such a nice thing for a leader to do.
And the manager was so happy.
Yeah.
Said, okay, the business will not suffer.
You've built your second life.
And I have a suggestion to all the people who have this problem. Okay, this is not my right organization. But please understand this. You cannot just resign on the just on the thinking of acting. Chalo yaar, ye organization theek nahi hai. Your leadership position. You should not continue forever. Understand there may be problems or whatever. But did you create leaders before you leave?
Yeah.
It is not the HR department's responsibility to replace you.
Correct.
If you are not having that capability, create more leaders. So having more people ready for you when you are gone is the right decision. It may not look like a good decision.
How does one deal with their insecurities?
Only spirituality can give the security.
Absolutely.
You know, we talk about in various terms faith in God,
Yeah.
faith in some universal power. Insecurities come from a feeling that the future may not be secure.
Yeah.
Therefore, we have a lot of financial security plans.
Correct.
If you die, there's some money for it. Of course, that has to be done. But does financial security guarantee security?
No.
So, you know, current day, and of course, you worked in the industry. I also worked in such an industry. Mutual fund sahi hai. I also invest. But does it guarantee security? Does insurance guarantee security? So let me tell you a story about insecurities of families in India.
Yeah.
There was this particular guy, very poor. Very poor. Of course, he was praying to God, saying that my poverty is a problem. If I become rich, all my financial problems will be solved. So his Ishta Devta was Lord Shiva.
Okay.
Like me, I pray to him. So finally, Lord Shiva appears and saying, "Mangna hai wo mang lo." And he's supposed to be Bholanath, right?
Correct.
Because I have a problem. I say, what problem? Financial, you see the poverty. I don't feel secure. I have to, every day I have to work. I know there's no bread and butter. So if I don't work, there is no food to eat
There's no
also.
food.
So Lord Shiva says, yeah, and this is a real problem.
Huh.
So I'll bless you that lifelong you don't have to work.
Wow. Not a good blessing.
Very. Now, interestingly, as the joke goes, you know, the story goes, after 1 month he comes around and says he's still unhappy. You know, what happened? I give you a blessing that you'll never have a problem of money, you'll get all that you want, even if you don't work.
Correct.
खाने पीने का problem नहीं होगा.
Huh.
Well, after you left, I started thinking, okay, lifelong I'll not have a problem of food, clothing, shelter, जो भी है. I have all the financial needs, more than maybe luxury also. But what about my children?
They will have to work.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll give one more blessing. Okay. For the next 3 generations, none of them have to work for finance.
Wow.
He gets a
Very
smile.
sweet of Shivji.
But the story continues. After 1 month, he comes again, he's still sad.
Yeah.
After you left, what's your problem? तेरा हो गया, तेरे बच्चों का हो गया. I was wondering what will happen to the 7th generation. You see, the insecurity doesn't go. Now, how do you get this insecurity? I come from the origin of Kerala. And it's a coastal state of India.
Right.
The fishermen community are very happy. So, what we call as coolies in Maharashtra. So, they're a fisherman community. And in the Malayalam, whatever languages that we use, there's a saying in the fisherman community. They say, Kadalamma terum. Kadal means sea, Amma means mother. Terum.
She is the mother.
So, they don't like to actually fish for 10 days. We say, okay, well, let's say, instead of going one day and going next day and next day, I can go with a bigger boat and maybe fish for maybe 10 days and then sell it in the market, so I don't have to go every day.
Correct.
Like how we say. He says, no, every day I'll go. I'll catch fresh fish. And I don't want to save for the next day. So why? Because the mother, she knows that she will give every day.
That's the faith that you have.
Yeah, no insecurities can be bigger than having faith in God. Whichever God, Guru, whatever you believe. Because see, financial insecurity is only one part of your life. And I'm not saying that it should not be done.
Correct.
But there's this saying, if you have so much money and you think you're secured, actually you're not. You are comfortably miserable. Lots of comfort, but still miserable. It's a state of mind.
Correct.
And poorest of the poor people I've seen are happy. You go around a slum area. You see, they don't even know. Next day whether they're going to get a daily wage. But they're happy. So I think that happiness comes from a lot of securities. Finance is only one part of it.
Correct.
But having faith in God is the ultimate security that you can have.
How does one build on that when they are going through adversities?
Who doesn't go through adversities? The problem is only look at my adversity.
Yeah.
So there's this famous saying, I was crying for the best shows till I found somebody without legs.
Absolutely.
So what is happening, this is a very, very interesting formula which I think most of us should try if you're not. If you actually look at the adverse situation, just, sit down calmly and write down the 10 blessings that you have which others don't have.
Correct.
And suddenly you say, I'm not that bad.
Correct.
So I know of a person, okay. So this person I met, if you look at his life, is full of tragedies. Okay. So daughter got married, divorced maybe after 3 days. Okay. He worked very hard, all savings robbed. Okay. So wherever he tried anything, business failed, everything. Wife unwell. And then he was so happy. I said, what a spiritual person.
Yeah.
So I'm not a spiritual person. Then how do you be so positive? He said something very nice. Every morning I get out of this house and come back in the afternoon.
Okay.
So what does it mean? I mean, are you a runaway? No. I just go out and find people who are less fortunate than me. Now, he's not perfectly happy in that sense, He's got a lot of family issues, this and all. But he says, I'm much better than so many people. So every day morning, I just go around a few people, meet some people and listen to their stories. I realize they're not that bad. वो गलती निकालनी है तो अच्छे में भी निकलता है.
Correct.
और बुरे.
But here is a little paradox because constantly we are trying to train our brains to say that don't compare your life with others. So again, you have to put Anvikshiki, right? I hope I have pronounced it right, to decode the fact that when you're trying to count your blessings, it's okay to compare. And in adversities, it's okay to compare. And otherwise, don't compare. How do you make sense of it?
Yeah. Come back to Anvikshiki. So his comparison is just one step.
Yeah.
But total comparison, this is like positive. This first stage is positive thoughts.
Yes.
But positive thoughts also thoughts.
Yeah.
They go away. You never know, suddenly negative thoughts will come. So the best way to understand this is not just about positive thinking. That's a baby step. So
Correct.
a lot of people read self-help books. They read my books also. And say, you're a good positive thinker, you inspire our thoughts. Like, that's only the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like ABC of mind. The reality is that, we have to understand that Anvikshiki is about clairvoyance. That's another meaning of Anvikshiki. What's clairvoyance? Clear thinking. Positive thinking versus clear thinking. Okay, now this
How do you build that?
Yeah, this is very, very important. You again play with the mind only. But here what you did was replace a negative thought with a positive thought. That's also one tool. But as you mature, you start understanding we lack clairvoyance. What is clairvoyance? So if you go to Google and all, the general understanding of clairvoyance is people who can see the future.
Oh, yeah.
So in some cultures...
It's a designation.
Really?
Oracles and people who have...
I was not aware of this.
Yeah, it's a designation. Like, I've seen people with clairvoyant. On YouTube also you can find so many people who have this designation. We are clairvoyant. We can look at...
Yeah. So again...
Divya Drashti.
So I have found in US, especially when I travel, there are people who actually do crystal gazing. And say, okay, this will happen. Please understand, clairvoyance, Anvikshiki is not future prediction. It's a pattern thinking. Anvikshiki is also pattern thinking. And thankfully, whatever I understood in Indian culture, we are absolutely clear about so many factors.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's look at a concept called health. And let's look at physical health to begin with.
Okay.
I'm not even talking about mental health. Can you be physically fit forever?
Difficult.
So you have to be fit. And but
optimally fit.
And so fitness is also measured by every age.
Correct.
So you're 60 plus, if you can still run.
Good. Yeah.
But can you be fit forever? You will slow down. And a lot of people confuse it by saying, okay, age is only a mindset. No, it's a reality. I mean, if I could run maybe 10 kilometers with age, I know of so many people who are like Iron Men, the marathoners, swimmers, and suddenly you find them doing nothing. And I said, okay, why not trying the next Iron Man? He said, no, I don't feel like. Then I understood one thing, his body has started giving indications. There was some knee pain, something. I found in so many sportsmen, they get replaced by younger sportsmen.
Yeah,
and they only have an old story to tell. That's also important, positive thinking. But clairvoyance says that, are you matured with age or are you growing with age?
What's the difference?
Interesting. So maturity is to understand their natural cycles. Okay. So everybody goes through at the physical level, changes. But let me tell you, experience doesn't guarantee maturity.
Yeah, of course.
You're still complaining.
Yeah.
I know so many high-profile corporate CEOs, executives, CXOs. So much complain. So much complain. Well, अरे जिंदगी में इतना कुछ किया है तुमने. नहीं. No, why? No maturity. Maturity and clairvoyance is saying that when I am there in that role, I'll do better than the best. I want to be number one.
Correct.
But how many of us can, if you are number one in your time period, your next generation should be better than you.
Absolutely.
But people don't think like that. They feel if somebody junior is better than you, it's a threat.
They don't like it.
They don't like it.
Insecurities.
Can you believe this? Poonam, you'll be surprised. I've seen parents being jealous of the children.
Oh God.
This may look like, क्या बोल रहे? Indian culture में इतना नहीं है. I know of a case where the father and the daughter went into a legal case. मैं बोला यार, we like to give everything to our children, right? Because there is wealth, but there is no maturity. Therefore, if you understand Indian spirituality, it makes you matured with experience. And so there is one concept called Vairagya. You should know when to give up.
Correct.
Because highest performer also should know when to stop. There's a very beautiful saying. Who is a genius? A genius is a one who knows when to stop.
Correct. So this is very interesting because I think we in India, abroad, wherever, human beings, especially in India, thanks to the manual given, that आपका वैराग्य last में आएगा, and you start with this child phase and then studying phase to marriage phase. There's a mold.
Yeah, absolutely. So brahmacharya,
पूरा. What is your view on this mold?
So it's a social structure given in our Indian culture. Brahmacharya, the student phase, Grahastha, the householder phase, then Vanaprastha, and then Sannyas. Which is, and it works for 99.99% people. But this mold also has exceptions. Right. You don't have to go through all the 4 stages. It's like people have got double promotion, triple promotion, if you're good. So if you look at somebody like an Adi Shankaracharya, okay, he was at the final stage. Somebody doesn't have to go through all these cycles. That's where maturity comes in. You have child prodigies. So they don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, coming back to the example of PhD. Okay, if you look at typical of the universities, Okay? The minimum qualification to do a PhD is master's degree, isn't it?
Correct.
That's wrong.
Okay.
You'll be surprised. People come to me and I guide a lot of PhD students.
I'm enrolling now very soon with you.
So 99 people, and they are right. There's a university set up, like a social norm.
But you will do it after master's, like. Otherwise, you can't fill up the form.
Who said this?
No. We
See,
can, whenever.
No, it's not like that.
Then?
You have to be an exception.
Oh.
So what the university says,
Scope of exception is there, you're
of
saying.
course, even in all the talent shows, we got a wild card entry.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
But we forget that everybody doesn't get a wild card. So who is that wild card? I've been in so many places. So I'm a young achiever in a lot of ways. So when I look at it, who am I? I started my book when I was in my 30s. And who might write on Chanakya? But look at it. So there will be always exceptions, and that's why we have to understand for a PhD, you can even do a PhD after graduation.
You got to be that exception.
And that's where the committee decides. So you can apply it.
You can apply.
And there's a whatever committee form, and we'll do an interview, find out why should you be given. So, but the problem is that 99% of the people like to go the normal way and they blame the system. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to watch a movie in the physical theater.
Yeah.
Okay. And the latest movie, and you want to experience it not on the mobile or OTT, you want to go and see it. Now, tell me what is the general rule. I want to go and see the movie.
Yeah.
How will I go and buy the ticket?
Online nowadays.
Or?
Walk and buy.
Okay. So whatever. So you have to book the ticket.
Book the ticket.
Is there an exception to the rule?
Sometimes I do exercise that exception of just calling the manager.
Now you got it. Now you got it. Now you got it.
Yeah.
Now you got it.
Exceptions are there.
And by the way, every organization across the globe have exceptions. Every organization across the world. I'm just giving it. So you said, I know the manager, owner, I just call him and say, मेरे दो रख दे यार. Not only रख दे, he may actually give free, plus वो खाना भी दे देगा. But we are so used to this first thought. I'm not telling you to break the rules. Please understand this. It is not about breaking the rules, it's understanding the rules and not get limited by the rules. Rules are meant for a society to be together. There's four stages. So they keep you together. And this is social responsibility. I mean, we can't deny it. But there are exceptions. Okay, maybe for the betterment of the society, walk out of the society and do the society better work.
Correct.
So this is maturity comes in. Larger organizations have this maturity. A lot of people with experience may not. So be more matured as a leader, not just an experienced leader.
Correct. Now, how do we build Anvikshiki? What is the method?
Simple practice. 1 hour a day. Just do nothing but think.
Directionally, what?
So a lot of people, I train them in Anvikshiki. So baby steps, say, okay, 1 hour of a day is thinking time. Like you have time for eating food, you have time for meetings, time for podcasts. Can you block that? It's very difficult.
No, impossible because constantly phones are there.
That's why I'm saying 1 hour a day. Okay, start with half an hour a day. Now the problem is that thinking, people again look at it as an activity.
It is.
It is not. I'll tell you a small, story that I read. A lot of people actually get to the idea that, we have to do things to be productive.
Yeah.
No. Undoing is the most productive thing.
Wow.
And especially in academic world, I feel a lot of people who are so well read, but they're not thinkers. The information gatherers.
Yeah.
Just because you are well connected to the world through social media doesn't make you intelligent socially. So I'll tell you this book, very famous book, Song of the Bird, Anthony de Mello. For those people not aware of it, a very nice story, anecdote. So there's this young monk, very well read, like scholar, and he becomes a monk, and there's a senior monk, and lot of politicians would come and take advice from him.
Yeah.
Because you talk about any subject in the world, Radhakrishna Pillai can talk. Okay, so they said okay, and then like the prime minister or whatever comes and says you should be on an advisory board, young boy, lot of ideas and all this. But the prime minister has got good advisors. So बोले पहले ये तो young है, उनके गुरु से पूछ लो. Because all that in the podcast you see is very popular because of his intelligence. He's been academically brilliant. You talk about any topic,
he will have information.
So let's do one thing before we take him on a boat to advise how about the country's future. So they go and meet his guru,
Okay.
senior monk. Told that we are planning to take him on our board for advising us because he's like a polymath. Kuch bhi baat karo, he's got some solution for it.
Correct.
And we require such talented brains in our country. So what is your advice? So that young fellow, do you think he's intelligent and all that? Every time I see him actually reading a lot of books, I wonder whether he's got time to think. He's got information on everything on the world. Every time I see him, he's reading. He's so informed, so analytical.
Correct.
But I wonder whether he's got time to think. So the guru is indirectly telling he may not be the right thinker for you. He may be very well informed for you. The Anvikshiki starts with non-thinking. That doesn't make you non-thinker.
It declutters you.
And it empties you.
Empties the
See, I'm a big fan of social media. But I'm not an addict to social media.
There's a difference.
So what I'm saying, use social media, but don't get used by social media. Can you keep that mobile away for 1 hour? 1 hour? Start with half an hour? FOMO.
Yeah.
Now the thing is that being well informed doesn't mean you're a thinker. Being analytical doesn't mean you're smart.
Correct.
Some of the greatest analytical people actually have the problem of overthinking. There's a saying, that analysis gives you to paralysis.
Yeah, because they are unable to make decisions. They get stuck.
That's where you have to say, okay, can I empty everything? So when I'm having a cup of coffee, it's already full. That's where, emptying the mind is a very tough project.
So half an hour you're saying, you just have to sit.
Do nothing. Do nothing. But that's not easy. Better said than done. It takes years of practice to have 1 minute of non-thinking.
Yeah. And you're saying half an hour is like too much.
Like it's a torture.
For me, if I have to do this, then I am training myself to be in a meditative state. I do everything from, good, or I am in the nature.
Right.
So I'm focusing my mind on listening to something and then trying to.
Again, you're confusing it.
Yeah.
Listening is also a tool.
It's a tool.
So
I'm
a lot of
doing
people get into
something.
meditation music. Actually speaking, meditation doesn't have music.
Exactly.
But it's better than,
Start
clutter.
somewhere.
So you start with some soft music, listen to flute. But is it thinking?
No.
It's calming your mind.
Yes.
Please understand the Sanskrit literature. There's a clear difference between mana and buddhi. And the state of ultimate realization is beyond mana and buddhi. So initially, your emotions have to calm down, take a deep breath. That's for the mind.
Which is basics of
Basic.
meditation.
It's like hygiene factor.
Hygiene.
But what about intelligence? The most intelligent people actually can be the most dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to go beyond the intelligence to understand maturity.
How do we go to step 2? What you're saying?
That's where, we have to come and understand we require a lot of good mentors in this process. I give you a simple example which most of the people in India would do. Let us look at Guru Sishya Parampara. So many of them are there. Swami Vivekananda, graduate of that generation from Kolkata University, the British capital. Who was his guru?
Ramakrishna.
And what is his qualification?
Never thought.
Don't even know.
Yeah.
They even went to school or college.
Yeah.
Now think about it. Who is more wiser? World traveled, globally known world leader. My dear sister. And his guru is just a simple guy. That's maturity. To understand that my best intelligence may not work somewhere. But that's a saying. What is actually maturity? Where all logic fails and you still have faith. That's maturity.
So beautifully put. So how do we decode the how? I'm still looking for an answer.
Because you're looking at an actionable.
Yes, very selfishly you know what I'm thinking? After this podcast we are done, I want to do that. What should I do?
So the thing is that first to understand philosophically and then put it as a habit or a ritual. Philosophically, the greatest men or women in the world, the most respected, there are two categories. Number one is the professors. They are in the universities, people like us, writers, thinkers. They are also role models. So they bring in a new thought, new perspective. They can invent something. The Newtons, the Darwins. So, they are also respected. So if you go to the European nations, Western developed countries, the professors is a big status.
Yeah.
In India, along with the professors, which we call as acharyas, there's one more category called mahatmas. And not necessarily they're highly qualified or teaching in a university, but they have wisdom to understand what is right and wrong. And that's a commitment. My father used to tell me 3 people change the world forever, but nobody will recognize them. Very few. First is, number one, a person who is sitting in a library and reading books.
Correct.
He or she may bring out a thought. Second one is a scientist sitting in a laboratory. Right? Because he's inventing something. Okay. But the third one, a monk in a cave meditating. You think, oh, useless guy, baitha hai, sab chhod ke. But he is actually thinking about the biggest problems. So I think what we require to understand every culture of the world, not only in Indian culture, there are these people who understood self-realization, enlightenment. Those people bring in perspective, and you say, again, our problem is we go to them for miracles and blessings.
Yeah.
Don't go. It will happen. So that's why Rishi.
Wow, you brought it back. So beautiful. So, Radhaji, you've used, oh my God, self-realization. We have to sit like for another 6 hours. And I know that even if we sit for 6 hours, you will be able to do justice to
information I can pass on.
Yeah. So, from what the discussion, framework today is, from that point of view, for leaders, what would be your kind of a key takeaway in today's generation?
2 takeaways.
Okay.
Be
simple.
humble. Second, never think you are permanent.
Let's decode this. Most think they are.
So I'll give you a hierarchy model of Chanakya because leaders in the power game.
Yeah.
Because the leader is number 1.
Correct.
But number 1 works with number 2. They're like Raja and Mantris.
Yeah.
Now the thing is that what do you mean by being humble? You're in power number 1. Everybody knows it. You're like a chairman, CEO. The whole organization knows it. But let's say an organization has got lakhs of employees or thousands of employees. Can the number 1 be connected to everyone? No, practically impossible.
Correct.
But he operates through the number 2. So it's the ministers who are in touch with them. But what Chanakya says is very clear. For leaders, even if you're number 1, please be connected to number 3, your praja, your people. If your number 1 is not connected to number 3, then number 2 will become number 1. Because number 2 is connected to number 3.
Cut off, yeah.
So I'm not telling that's your work. But time to time, can you actually go as a normal man and try to understand the problem of the lift man?
Correct.
Maybe a driver. The day you lose in touch with a common man, number 2 will take you over. So humility is clear. Okay, I may be number 1, but kal jaise, in India it's quite common in every house. And if the domestic help doesn't come, it's okay for me.
We can do it. Yeah.
But now the thing is that that's not my work. Tomorrow she comes, she'll again do the household work. But why do leaders have this problem that, if I don't have somebody, okay,
I will not do.
I'll not do. That's where we say leaders should have that humility, saying that I have a work to do. That's a topmost work. That's thinking, analyzing, strategy, policy. But if you're required, I'll open the gate.
Correct.
But people can't do it. And especially if you're born with a silver spoon, it's so difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
First thing is humility. The second one is continuous learning. It's so important that you keep learning. And that time I can tell you, I was in one of the American universities. I was giving a lecture on Chanakya. Sab bulate hain. So this class, there's this old man sitting over there, white beard and all those things. So he attended 2-3 of my lectures. So I had a 3 lecture series. So I had like a very old person. So somebody said he's a professor and all those things. Okay. Then 3rd day, okay, I met him. He was so insightful and never knew about Indian culture, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So photo, some people are taking all those. It's simply very simply last bencher. I was giving it to the students and suddenly you have a professor sitting there. So the student organizer came and said, sir, you have no idea who this guy is. So I thought, seriously, I don't know who he is. He says, white beard. He's a Nobel laureate.
Wow.
So really? So then it suddenly connected to me. I just went, sir, you're a Nobel laureate, you're attending my lecture. I'm a simple guy talking about Chanakya. You know what he told? Well, if I may be a Nobel laureate, that's of the past.
Wow.
But
that's humility.
Humility and continuous learning.
Yeah.
You gave me a new perspective for a subject on which I got Nobel Prize.
Wow.
So I may be Nobel laureate, but there's something more in that which I don't know. So leaders have to come down and say, if there is something new coming, I'll take it up. And that advice can come from a pure and a driver also.
Absolutely.
Qualities of leader.
Yes. I think this is the most important quality of a leader, to be having that door open for themselves also.
Absolutely. Two-way.
Radhaji, to kind of conclude this session, I'm not concluding our conversation. This is going to be...
It's a comma, not a full stop.
Yeah, absolutely no. But one question which in the back of my mind is there, and I want you to decode that question. Not give me an answer, but maybe if you can decode it, it'll really personally give me a lot of clarity, which is what I'm looking for. And I should not miss this opportunity of asking you that. Resilience, when we talk about mental power, resilience, which is also to be built over a period of time because you go through things, life, and then it happens. Deeply from a spiritual level or from, let's say, dharmic level also. Let me try to frame it in a way that I'm able to make you understand what my question is. I feel that resilience, mental resilience, is a byproduct of your karmic cycles because not everyone is resilient in all the aspects of their life.
Sure.
Am I right or wrong?
So this is where Indian philosophy doesn't talk about equality, it talks about uniqueness. So today we talk the world has to have full opportunity, equality.
Yeah.
There's respect for that thought also.
Yeah.
But can everybody be equal?
No.
No. That's very important. Everybody is unique. So if you look at two people, even identical twins, their mental health or mental state of mind is different. What one person can do in 5 minutes, other may take 5 days.
So, in my perspective of me, for example, first of all, the I is not very good, but okay, for the sake of example, I may be resilient in certain aspects of my life,
Yeah.
and I am just not resilient in certain aspects of my life. So, my question is, can you build resilience in all aspects of your life individually? Is that possible?
So can I rephrase the question?
You're sure?
Why do you require resilience in all fields?
To be good at everything, let's say.
Again, it's a myth.
Yeah.
You be good. Everything is a byproduct. Of course, you can be, but
Of habits.
state of mind. And of course, habits are state of mind.
So, how do you build that state
I'll
of
tell you,
mind?
I'll tell you. First, perfect one thing, easy to duplicate it. So don't look at parts.
The duplication can happen, but then we exercise the power of choice that, okay, I'm very good at this, so it's okay to be not perfect everywhere. That's human.
That's human, but that's also a choice.
That's also a choice.
Like for example, I've chosen Chanakya.
Yeah.
Clear. Not that I don't understand other subjects, but this lifetime committed to Chanakya. But I'm also flexible. Can I be a good author in Chanakya? Can I be a good teacher of Chanakya? Can I train not only military leaders or corporate leaders, surprisingly also train spiritual leaders? I was surprised, but okay, I'm open to this. Coming back, what you perfect in one place, you can duplicate other places. But people says, okay, I'll give an example of a brigadier. So maybe I can, for the sake of discussion, call him a student also.
Sure.
He came to me and said something, and brigadier is a big post.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
And he said, I have a problem I want to discuss with you. Okay. I'm ready to take bullets. That's what we've been trained in. But I'm afraid of an injection.
Yeah. It happens to a lot of people.
Now think about it. I say, wow, what a strange phenomenon. I'm ready to take a bullet and die. But when a doctor comes to inject me, I have a problem. So then he said, laughing. The same thing goes in life also, right? You may command 10,000 people.
I'll give you an example. There's a CEO who is very agile to do whatever in the business. So if the business needs the person to be 24 hours involved when there is a requirement in the business, this person is able to keep everything aside and put
Focus.
100%, more. I mean, I don't know what is more than 100%, but for the sake of saying, full focus. Like it is for some people, it is very difficult to think that I have to leave so many pleasures of life to be able to do this. Very easy for this gentleman to leave all the pleasures of life, 100% focus. But in some other aspect, the resilience is not. He is, blinded by senses. Senses work more than. So because I had my very great deeper conversations, I realized that how is it possible that this one individual mind is so powerful to put all kinds of resilience in one aspect. That means the driving forces, because this is my bread and butter and my business and money is involved. That's why my resilience level is I can do everything. And here, because it is fine, the other side of it, because the excuse that comes is that I am not able to do it and I am failing to tell the person that it is impossible for you not to do this. You're making a choice to not do it.
So there's a very famous saying, good is the enemy of the great.
Yeah.
You want to be a good leader or a great leader?
Yeah.
A great leader actually understands I have to be good in everything. I'm good in one thing.
Optimally good.
And let me also tell you, there's a hypocrisy here. एक दिखावा है के लिए for this project में, but you replicate it. Conflicts होता है.
हाँ.
You may be a great CEO, but you may be a failed husband.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. You said it.
Yeah, it happens. So you say, okay, how can you have? But I'll tell you, India gives a solution. And the perfect example, even if you look at it non-spiritually, Raja Ram. If you put 10 roles of his, all 10 tick box, he was great in everything. Okay, so we may have our debates. For example, was he a great son? Tick box. Was he a great leader? Tick box. Great husband? Tick box. But you say Sita ko chhod diya. You can go on debating. Did you ask Sita? Tick box. Was he a good brother? Tick box. Was he a great student?
Yeah.
Was he a great teacher?
Teacher, I don't know.
He is a teacher also. He teaches Lakshman.
Oh, yeah.
There is something called as Ram Gita also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we know about the Bhagavad. There are 50 types of Gitas.
See.
So
much
can
to
you
learn.
be a good student and a good businessman and a good teacher and a good author
Yeah.
and a good philosopher? That makes you great. But if you are only having one area being focused on, they are very good at it. But the moment you come out,
Then they are not.
you say, ye kaun hai? I mean, is it the same personality? I have seen actually people are married for 50 years having this conflict. So they may be great in earning money, but they don't have time for their children.
Yeah.
But you can do it. So I think what's very important, be good at something. I'm not, but don't be good at only one thing. Physically fit, mentally weak.
Yeah.
So and you have to develop this, but you can't be a split personality.
Absolutely.
So if you have got focus as a quality, can you use it for everywhere else? That's where the journey of being good to great comes in. It's a spiritual quality.
Wonderfully put. I think you summarized it so well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Radhaji. Thank you so much. Any last message you want to give to the corporate world?
Don't be successful in life.
Great.
Be respected in life.
Right.
Big difference. All successful people are not respected, but all respected people are successful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Radhaji. So wonderful talking to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.